So this is going to be a bit of a somber video, and I'm not really planning what I'm going to say. I'm just going to talk and see what happens. Just going to have some random gameplay in the background. It's not really pertinent to anything. But you may have seen reports the other day that Turn 10 staff has been slashed in half. And we've seen now from a former Turn 10 employee that Forza Motorsport is officially dead, according to them. So basically what Turn 10 is going to be now is support for Forza Horizon. Like, there is no more Forza Motorsport. And if you look at the last update, it's kind of like they knew that was about to happen, because they reintroduced a bunch of the things that had gone away in the career mode. And it's kind of inevitable that this was going to happen. You know, with the launch of the game, I'm actually surprised they supported it as long as they did. But it's still quite sad, and it feels quite strange to me that something that I've been, playing for so long, and a series that means so much to me is gone. Admittedly, I haven't played that much of it in the last few years. I've just had a lot of life stuff going on, but starting back in Forza Motorsport 3, that's when I first jumped on the series. That was probably like the best time to get into it, because 3 was a pretty good game, and then 4 came out and that just blew everything out the water. And then Microsoft, because I think Microsoft is completely to blame for this and what's happened to the series over the past, decade. So in their infinite wisdom, Microsoft saw the success of Forza Motorsport 4, saw that there were like 10 million players on the leaderboard, and decided, hey, what we're going to want you guys to do now is just forget everything that you did with Forza Motorsport 4. Forget, everything that people loved about the game. We're going to focus on just making this a graphical showcase for the Xbox One. Can you do that? Is that all good? So then Motorsport 5 came out, and I didn't play that on launch. I played it probably after Forza 7 came out, to be honest. But honestly, that game was just hideously boring to me, and I don't think many people have too many great things to say about Motorsport 5. And the bad decisions just continued. Motorsport 6 was a small bright light in a very dark room, and that's because of all the games since Forza Motorsport 4. It was the closest to Forza Motorsport 4. It was still lacking majority of the features that people loved so much and had been requesting for so long, but it was at least a game that functioned, and a game that had a lot of the things that people had been asking for. And then Motorsport 7 came out, and again, another graphical showcase, this time for the Xbox One X. I'm going to get confused with the names of Xbox, because Microsoft does not stop their stupid decisions at Forza Motorsport. They continue stupid decisions throughout their entire business practice. Seemingly stupid decisions, because their profits are up. Yeah, Motorsport 7, I don't really know what was going on with that one. I genuinely despised that game. It changed my mood into a bad one every single time I played it, which I suppose could be a sign of stupidity that I did play it for so long. But then again, I was making videos regularly, so I kind of had to. Yeah, there was a bit of radio silence for a while after Motorsport 7, and then eventually Motorsport was revealed. The more we heard about it, the more it seemed, at least to me, that it was going to be a complete change. It was going to be more of a GT Sport inspired game. And, if looking at the game itself, you can see remnants of that idea. But again, I think Microsoft stuck its grubby little fingers into it and made Turn 10 change some things that they were wanting to do. And it ended up again being a game that wasn't what it should have been. And I mean, it didn't launch in a very good state at all. Player numbers were pretty horrendous. They continue to be pretty horrendous, and reviews are not great. There's not a lot of relevance with the Forza Motorsport name right now. But that said, the updates that we have had this year, or the most recent updates, have actually been pretty decent. Reintroducing Fujimi Kaido, something that people have been begging for since Forza Motorsport 4. So people have been begging for that for over a decade. And finally they listened and put it in, and they did a really good job with that. The game still, at its core, doesn't have a lot to do. It's not got a lot of variety, and it definitely does not function 100% of the time. Like, it crashes quite a lot for me, and there are issues with the game, but it's night and day compared to where it was at launch. I just feel like they didn't really fully commit to making it what they should have. A GT Sports inspired game could have done really well. There could have been a pretty decent audience for that on PC and Xbox, because players on Xbox haven't really had anything like that before. And it really worked when it came to Gran Turismo Sport. If people had been told before that game came out that like this was what the game was going to be, people would have been like, what the hell are you doing? That's not Gran Turismo at all. And it really wasn't, but they went 100% in with what they wanted that game to be, and ended up being like a completely revolutionary thing for console racing. And to make matters worse, Forza Motorsport wasn't only not fully committed to in what it was intended to be, but they continue to be tone deaf and ignore things that people have been requesting for so long. And then the game comes out, A, it doesn't function, and B, it's lacking everything people have been wanting. And they're like, oh, why is no one playing this game? It's like, well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize you actually have to listen to the community in order to get the community to want to play the game and get those who have been so disillusioned with the franchise to come back to the game. Like, it really doesn't take all that much to see that. So when I first saw that Turn 10 has now allegedly become a sort of support company for the Horizon franchise, initially I wasn't surprised. And it's like slowly just become like angry, not because I still take the franchise super seriously, because I really just don't have time to play too many games. And when I do have time, I just really don't want to play games anymore. I'm just at that stage of my life where it's a bit different. But I'm angry because of what happened to the series. Like, it was there. It was like one of the greatest racing games ever. It was Forza Motorsport 4. And then they just decided to completely bastardize that whole thing and change it to something which I don't know what they were thinking when they decided the direction of Forza Motorsport 5. I just do not understand what they were going for. But I have found a little bit of brightness, actually, thanks to the Steam Summer Sale, and that is Ride 5. It's basically like Forza with 2 wheels, and if you look at the Steam numbers, it's not the most popular game. Like, it's not very highly populated. You're not going to find too much multiplayer at all. But if you're unfamiliar with motorbike racing, like I am, I've never played a motorbike game before this. It's a completely different experience, which makes the sort of career mode a bit more interesting, because every new bike you race is a completely different thing to what you know in the past, and even just getting used to playing the game is a completely different challenge. And it also features a lot of things that Forza used to have. Like, for example, when you go and find a livery for a bike, you can do a tour of the bike before you decide to download it, which is something you used to be able to do in Forza Motorsport 4, which you've never been able to do again. It's just small things like that. And, there's a stat card where you can see all your races. Like, Forza Motorsport still doesn't have stats, and by all appearances will never have stats. And I think most of the things that make Ride a bit more enjoyable for me and do fill a bit of the hole that Forza Motorsport has left is that the quality of life is just a lot better, and it's a lot of things that Forza used to do that it doesn't do anymore. But yeah, that's me talking off the cuff about Forza Motorsport's demise. Life goes on, and Forza Motorsport does not, unfortunately. So thanks a lot for that one, Microsoft. You continue to act completely outside of the interests of the people who play the games. But yeah, leave your thoughts and commiserations about Forza Motorsport in the comments.